Hello, welcome back. Tonight I will speak about a grimoire of mine, a book that is part of Galactica, and it is the Grimoire of Leraje. And as I've said, his name is pronounced in different ways. I don't know exactly which is the most correct one, but sometimes it appears in the text Leraje or Leraje, Lera, or it is a little bit different. But the Grimoire of Leraje is part of Galactica, which includes 11 different grimoires and books that I have written on different characters, all inspired from the book of King Solomon called Ars Goetia, or the Lesser Key of Solomon. And the Grimoire of Leraje that I will focus to speak tonight, it does represent many different aspects that I would like to speak tonight. We say, well, it is a special grimoire. I remember being very in love, or the thematic of love, in the period that I was writing the thematic, and the subject of the book I already had, and I wanted to write, and I meditated on his subject as well, to be able to understand, as much as possible. That somehow it inspires me, and it makes me create the first verses, and how somehow after that I develop the story further on. And as I've said in one recording, that part of that memory of childhood that inspired me to write the book of Leraje or Leraje. And so, well, his name is very poetic, Leraje, Leraje. It is very beautiful, and it appears repeated many times throughout the grimoire. It's almost to say, well, it is a hymn dedicated to him, to Leraje. It is a dedication of love from me to him. It is a part of me that I understood later in my life was something that was a very special memory in my childhood that I kept. And there is a playlist of Leraje, of Leraje, if you're interested to listen to more about this thematic, or how I came to the idea of the book, or that memory specifically, what it meant, how that memory developed for me, and understanding, almost to say it given me the key to unlock that part that I was searching to understand it, to understand Leraje, or to understand the story. So when I start to write on the book, I too don't know the subject. I would say, searching for the thematic as well, And the part of the memory of the childhood, I didn't look for it. It was a memory childhood I kept because it was a very special memory, and I kept, and I often thought of it. But one time when I thought of it, I saw something different. It was different that time. To say, I don't know how. So well, I was very little, maybe 4 or 5. So I remember the day. I remember what happened, but somehow maybe I missed some aspects. I was not able to see the whole picture, And me going back into that memory somehow showed me something that I felt at that moment, but I could not express. I saw it, but I kept it secret, even from me, And then when I put all the pieces together of that memory, it made perfectly sense for me, the thematic, and that part I included too as well in the Grimoire of Leraje. I just found it so beautiful, and of course there are other memories connected to that memory as well, but that one was the specific one where I was able to see Leraje. And when I was little, I was sitting there and looking at him. I didn't know what I'm seeing, It almost seemed like it was nothing there. And I think the entire memory is very much connected to Leraje, like all the aspects that I have seen that day, the color of the sand, or the river, or the day, the weather, the forest, everything that I was seeing, me going to that place where I saw Leraje, which was on a summer day, me going with my grandmother to a field near the woods, near a forest, very far away from home, and we walked to that place, And there we stayed a few hours, and then we returned back home. It was almost one day spent there. And that of course created for me as a writer a totally different understanding on the thematic of Leraje, of Leraje, and the beautiful symbols that I have seen there and what those symbols mean. And then I did have a second dream of Leraje in a different scenario, which was new, and I was not a child, I was my age now, an adult, and it was Leraje almost showed me something without talking through his eyes, an image of something that somehow correlated to my story from my childhood. And this, of course, not necessarily it speaks about the thematic of Leraje, in a way, yes, because it is about love, but it's just how it came to me, how the story came to me, how I was able to understand the character of Leraje, of Leraje. And in the Grimoire of Leraje, one, I always say it is different from what I'm talking about it, and it's a different type of book, because it is a certain type of book that one has to read or discover, that I have created, I have written on the thematic of Leraje in this case. And Galactica includes different grimoires, different books that I have written, different 11 grimoires, and Leraje is part of that as well. And it was one of the first grimoires that I have written, and working, of course, on the story, on the text, on the literary part of that hymn. Now I did want to write it very poetic. In the same time, I kept it very simple, very the feeling that I had that day, that type of atmosphere surrounding the story of Leraje. So that memory is that what actually inspired me and the story, and for me to write the book the way I did. Otherwise it would have been a different story, or maybe I would not have known, or I would have written in a different way. So it was very helpful, my childhood, that memory specifically, and I was quite interested too as well how things happen and how it moved from one memory of the childhood to my adult life, and then another vision with me in adult life that has a connection with that memory of my childhood, and the fact that that memory of my childhood now I was able to see other aspects that when I was there, by being very little, I was not able to understand, but I saw. There are some things like I even have memory of my childhood where I see just the image, but I don't really know where I am. It's just one simple image I was doing this one specific thing, It's like maybe crawling under the table, but I didn't know whose table it is, These times, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe I was visiting there with my grandmother, I cannot really know. But this day where I was there with my grandmother in this forest where I saw Leraje, it was very clear to me, that memory remained. I remember it in detail. Because it was, as I've said, a very long walk, so I had a lot of time to observe the environment, and it was very silent, very slow pace that me and my grandmother walked to that place. It was very far away from home. I've never been there, maybe just 2 times, because it is that far. It took us a few hours, and it's just a field that we had there, that my grandmother planted something, and around it, very close to it, at the edge, was the beginning of a forest. And that's the place where I was sitting on the blanket. My grandmother was working, was a little more far away from me, that I was able to see Leraje. And then the fact that what I did after that, on the way back, or maybe it was the same day or in the same area, it was another very sweet story of my childhood as well, that I speak in the playlist of Leraje. So there are very sweet and very special memories that make me think when I thought about Leraje, which of course is a connection to him as well. And the fact that I was just little, it's very sweet, very pleasant memory of mine as well. And it's very much connected to the element of nature, the element of the tree, the forest, There was the specific nut tree, I remember, that I really wanted to open it, to eat the nut, but I was not able. It was too little and too hard. And it was just a little like forest nuts, like wild forest nuts, but very little, very hard. I wasn't able to open it, but I knew they are nuts, and of course I wanted to eat. And then I walked in the forest a little bit. That was that, and then the coming back home as well. So I do remember the day very well. I cannot really say how old I was. I would say maybe 4 or 5, but the fact that I was walking maybe 6, 7. It's always difficult to say with age. What specific age your memory has, no? And yeah, so this inspired me to write the Grimoire of Leraje in this way, because we said I was searching for some meaning or some thematic of him, no? So while I did meditate a lot on his thematic to be able to even understand the vision for myself, or be able to say accept it, to say, well, did I see that or not? It is always the aspect of memory as well, no? There are beautiful symbols too for Leraje as well. One symbol of Leraje is the arrow. The other symbol is the element of the tree, of the green, of the forest as well. And then we have the element of the deer as well, the element of the grass, the element of it is an element of solitude as well. So the forest is solace. There is it comes from the element of peace. Solace means peace. Solitude is not I'm going in the forest to cry. It's not the solitude of the sadness necessarily. It is just a stillness. It is a perfect stillness, no? You can hear the trees, the air moving throughout the leaves of the trees. You can hear, you can see it. It's a very natural environment. And I like to think of the details of the day as well. So when I was walking, there was this very white sand. A lot of white sand. It was very pleasant to walk. And little cliffs. It was very hot day, very like summer. It was high summer, like July, August. It was like the blazing sun, strong sun, very nice weather. And then when we arrived at the forest, the trees were moving. There was this strong air, and then sometimes the air doesn't move, and then the forest stops, and then it's completely silent. Then just maybe a little bit of wind, And I have been often with my grandmothers in different places where we had fields, and we were plant things or stuff like that. And I know all these fields, but this place where it was, this memory was a place that we actually never went there. It was just too far away from home. But I don't know why, that day my grandmother decided to take me there, for me to go with her there. Well, I believe there's always meaning between things as well. Not necessarily consciously, but, it did have a particular meaning for me as well. And the Grimoire of Leraje, I think, is very beautiful. If I was to top it from 1 to 11, I will top it at number 8. I think it's a beautiful tale, and I think it's very special the way I decided to tell it, because that's, a quality of my qualities as a writer, to say. I do work on the stories in general very detailed, and, I look at the subject from different perspectives, and I make sure always that, it is something that is not false. I don't like that element, so I always try to make the story, if it is fiction, it is story. So well, it is a fictional character or a fictional book, at the same time. It is a grimoire, so it does carry those aspects of the grimoire as well. And I think as a grimoire, Leraje is one of my most beautiful ones. And so the cover shows a little bit different, because it in my book tells the story of Leraje in a specific way, from a certain travel that he is to take upon. There's a certain story in the book. That's why the cover shows Leraje with the element of the water, and there is this mermaid, this female mermaid. So well, it does tell the story of Leraje. So Leraje has many stories, not just one. To say, well, my story, to say, well, my memory with him, it was part of me writing the book of Leraje, but to say what Leraje has had or will have many travels, the element of the travel when it comes to Leraje. And there we see, say, Leraje on that on the cover that I had prepared for, and I like very much the image of him. It shows that element of the nature, because so well, the nature is peaceful, yes, true, but the nature is wild. So well, nature is more wild than peaceful. Sometimes it's peaceful, but nature is always more element of the wildness or wilderness or the wild elements. And I think that represents him very well as well. I represented the element of the water. It is wild. Water is wild. It's the waves coming, like crashing in him, to show his strength, to show his power. And the element of the mermaid, to say, well, is that Leraje is never alone. Leraje has, is accompanied by other elements as well. And the story tells, so well, it is a story about it's connected to my childhood memory, which is part of the book, as I've said. At the same time, it is a story that tells us that we are able to understand who Leraje is, So I want to say, use the story as a mean to understand something. It's almost to say, well, yes, I could have written the story differently, but it would not have had the effect that I wanted to have. It would not have been the correct book. Has to be the correct book, That's why I do think very much before about the subject and what exactly, the parts of that character that represents, and that vision or the dream or that memory gives me that environment that I'm able to understand the character even better. And I do invite, of course, you to read the book of Leraje. There's a link in the description box below to the book as well, to the playlist of Leraje if you want to get into the thematic even deeper or to know more about him or about my book, as well as different books that I have written for different thematics. But that's why I think Galactica is very helpful for me, because it gives me the opportunity to have all my 11 grimoires in one collection, which I find very, very beautiful. And as I've said, I will put Leraje at number 8, even to say, well, it could easily be at number 4 as well. It is a very good book. But the numbers maybe have some symbolic meaning as well. But it is a very good book. It is a very special book that I really love. I'm happy that I was able to write Leraje as well, and almost to say I would love to write even more books on the thematic of Leraje. Thank you so much for listening. I will continue another time. Thank you so much. Bye.